St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Police are investigating allegations that a special needs student was mistreated in the Salmon River School District. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning has more on the investigation, how it's alleged to have happened, and a response from the school.
These are the images that began a fact-finding investigation. Photos of a box circulating on Facebook. The post alleges it's used for special needs students at the St. Regis Mohawk School in Akwesasne. Shared more than 1,000 times, poster Chrissy Jacobs writes, quote, "This is supposed to be a school for our beloved babies, not a prison with a kid-sized hole." Meanwhile, Salmon River Central School District acknowledged the post in a letter to the community. Superintendent Dr. Stanley Harper writing, quote, "At no time was the item depicted in the photographs used by any student at the Mohawk School. In fact, prior to the circulation of these photographs, the district had already determined that it would not utilize the specific device shown." 7 News reached out to Dr. Harper to learn if the device he refers to is the wooden box, but we haven't heard back. The social media posts have struck a nerve in the Mohawk and Indigenous peoples communities specifically. There's a long history of Indigenous children being abused and neglected in residential schools, which operated until the 70s. The St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Council released a statement saying it is aware of the allegations and wants to, quote, "reassure the community that we hear their concerns and fully intend to take any and all actions necessary to hold individuals accountable for any wrongdoing, and that corrective actions are being taken to ensure this never happens again." Lexi Bruning, 7 News.